crowd. Yeah, no problem.
Why do we have cemeteries? When humans first, oh, Damon, nice to see you here. When humans first started marking the dead, we have evidence that they did that 400,000 years ago, before it was even Homo sapiens. But anthropologists say, well, lots of animals tend to the dead too. Orangutans grieve. Elephants will stand there for days grieving a dead mate or partner. Is there a difference between grieving and making a memorial, making a permanent remembrance of someone who has not been there before? And do we do that? And did we start doing that out of fear of the unknown? Out of love of what other forms we might take? And as you think about it, the first little experience part that I would like to try, and I think with four people, we should be able to do something. Impermanence is for all of us. We have all lost people we love, and we know sometime our day will come as well. I'd like to start this event with thoughts you might have about someone who you've lost. And there are a variety of things that we do for those who have lost. We call them obituaries. That used to be the most popular page in those old things we called newspapers. People used to go to the obituary right away. There's a fascination with other people dying. There's a human interest to it that's compelling to us. And we can merely tell the story, or we can tell it in the form of a tribute, a eulogy that isn't just a description of someone, but emphasizes the parts of them that we remember the most and we love the most. Part of the way, I think, of managing our own grief is to be able to make those kinds of tribute, respectful, appreciative statements about people we've lost. And we have a little installation set up right over here so that if anyone here, and I don't think there's any reason to be shy, there's just four of us, if we'd like to just come on down here into this little area, and it's really set up to be a place to be able to give a eulogy or a tribute. And if one of you here has someone who you've lost, maybe recently, maybe a long time ago, and you'd like to step up to the stand right there and let us listen respectfully to a brief tribute, I'll help you through it. I'll tell you how to get started. Is there someone who'd like to give it a shot? How about you, Chai Rain? Can you think of someone that you'd like to give a brief eulogy for? I'm going to prompt you through it too. You're not going to have to
Yeah,
sit there and
yeah.
invent anything. And here's
Okay.
how I'm going to prompt you through it. The way I think to, if you've got someone in your mind now, just take a breath and get them all there in your mind. And the way to start is to tell us he or she was the type of person who, we're looking for an epitome, type of person who always traveled, always had a joke, uh, was always late. So just give us a start with they were the type of person who.
Yeah, so they were the type of person who always knew how to listen and how to give advice. They were somebody that knew when to listen and when to speak. And yeah,
And
yeah.
can you tell us their name and give us a little story about that?
Yeah. So their name was Angela, and they were my mom. So she was a school teacher, and she really was like a teacher from my birth onwards, right? So it's like she taught me how to be a person, and then she would go to school and teach her kids how to, do whatever. But she was a special needs preschool teacher, so she had two different types of classes, and one of them was special needs. So she was a pretty crazy, powerful, awesome woman.
And when your mom died, were you able to say anything at the time?
It was difficult because I was 20 at the time, so my sister was 18, and my dad had lost both of his parents to cancer as well, so he was pretty fragile. So at the time, I was mostly like helping other people, and like more recently, I've been going through my own therapy and stuff, and kind of like recognizing that there was a part of me at the time that didn't get the opportunity to grieve. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that thank you for saying that, and so uh,
yeah.
to everyone else here, we get an idea in our mind of the way things were supposed to be when someone
Hmm.
goes, and if it didn't go exactly that way, there's still something kind of stuck inside us, waiting to come out. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that being here and giving a brief, you know, epitome statement about your mother and telling us a little bit more about her, that isn't all that it takes. But the real rituals, I think, that help us get free of some of the things still inside us that's sad and that's holding us back, um, isn't to wait. It's to do it ourselves. And
Hmm.
you can even build on what you're doing today and get some pictures of your mom. Uh, just have another little ritual that you make up, and it's the actual doing it. I mean, it sounds almost funny when you try to imagine it, but if you actually do that thing, it will start to release a little bit more of the hold of the sadness of your mom on you because of just what you said. It's either the age we are makes it hard to fully express ourselves, the fact that we have to take
Hmm.
care of other people around us, and,
Yep.
and it's still in there. I
Yeah.
just want to say to you,
Yeah.
Chai, my mom was a teacher too. And
Yeah.
I always really felt that I was there. I had a mom side that was my mom, but then she would also go into teacher mode, and uh,
Right? Yeah.
and at first I didn't like that, but as the years went by, I really came to appreciate that. And
Yep.
uh, and I don't
Yeah.
know if your mom was a teacher that you that other kids your age knew, but my kids would come up to me and say, "Your mom is really tough, but you know something? I really learned how to write in her English class." So
Yep.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
got stories like that about your mom.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Still to this day, we get letters about the kids that she taught and stuff. So it's nice
Oh,
reminding. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's good.
Well,
But this
is
is
there anything
awesome.
more you'd like to add in your eulogy here?
Um. No, I think she would be happy that I'm, taking time to decompress with my grief and do something productive with it, which is, sharing stories and attending something like this. So I think she's I think she'd be happy. So I'm happy that I could give her the space and share her story with you guys. So thank you for giving me that
Well, thank you.
opportunity.
Yeah. And this, to me, this is life. This is the feast
Yeah.
of life, is getting to hear someone say stuff that means something to you that maybe you wouldn't have had another chance to do it. And we got to share that. So I, I could just do this. I think that there should be things like this on every corner instead of video rental places or nail bars or something like that. But anyway, maybe we'll get there. And that to me is the form of of a eulogy. It's to give us an epitome, which you did perfectly, and then a nice story to expand upon that. And it's something that really, it's it's not only it's easy to do, but it feels good to do when it starts to come out. So, Chloe, do you have someone that you'd like to give a little eulogy for? Would you give it a try? Thank you.
I could try.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are you going to be speaking about, Chloe?
My grandmother.
Oh, that's great. And do you
It
have
was last
she's the
year.
type of person, how would you just characterize? She was the type of person who what?
It was really nice and very, like, very wise, very cheerful, and very kind, I would say.
And is there a story about you and her that you can remember?
Yeah, a funny one, but, I was in middle school at the time, and my middle school didn't open until, like, later in the morning, and I was already early, so I got dropped off at her place, and, I remember hanging out with her there, and we'd talk about school and everything, and then it would be time for me to go, so I would get up and leave, and then it was snowy out, and I was halfway there, and I felt something on my back. I looked down, and my grandmother's pillow got hooked into my backpack, so I had a pillow carrying around to school, and so I turned around, I was like, wait, and so I gave it her bag, and she just laughed at me. But that's a story, I know.
That is a story. It's just how the little detail of the pillow getting stuck to your backpack. But you were at her house that way in the morning lots and lots of times, right?
Yeah, a couple times.
Oh, okay. It wasn't like a regular every single day.
It wasn't like regular, it was just sometimes.
I got it. And was there a family funeral for her that you were able to attend?
Yep.
What was that like? Was that maybe your first funeral?
No, it was. I mean, I've been to so many. Yeah, it was really emotional, but then I was also at peace knowing that, she's in a better place, she's always wanted to be, and so it was kind of like a rejoice.
And so you feel that you've really said what you need to say to your grandma, and you've really said goodbye to her?
Yep.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. And the thing about grandparents is, I know for me anyway, is that when you say middle school, you're really lucky to spend time then, because that's when we're usually too busy for grandparents. And it's not till sometime in our 20s that we realize, holy smokes, do I ever wish I'd ask them questions and learn things
high
about
school.
them. And yeah. Did you do that though? Did you get family history from her and stuff like that? Oh,
Yep.
You're lucky. You're one of the lucky ones on that one. Well, I was really, really close to my grandmother too, and so I'm glad you brought that up. Is there anything more you'd like to tell us about her?
Not that I know of. She had
Okay.
her own bookstore and everything, which was pretty
Oh,
cool.
I'll say.
Small little
Yeah.
shop in town. She had a little
Ooh.
loft up in her little store, and so my brother would climb up the ladder to go up there, and I don't know what he did, but he would be so goofy, and my grandma would peek over and be like, "You're so silly, stop that," or whatever.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
just
that's
love
all
the
I
idea of
really
a
think of.
grandmother running a bookstore. As a kid, that just must have been so neat to go to grandma's bookstore.
Oh my goodness. Okay, for me when I was younger, it was, whoa, Grandma, you got a loft? That's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. Just the idea of a loft, right? Yeah, I totally got you. Yeah.
It was the
Secret hiding
coolest
place.
thing for me when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what-
yeah. Definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
glad to bring back those happy loft memories and stuff. Thank you for that, Chloe. And
Yep.
yeah. And how about you, Damon? You got a eulogy in you?
Possibly. I'll be honest.
Let's see.
I've had the miss having someone.
Yeah.
Really, the only remaining other side. Very young, and Mina relay pretty much what I can remember. What makes her fun, my heart. That is
Yeah.
lived in Puerto Rico. Enough to be fly out there with my. Or as a kid, waking up in my bedroom, smell of getting up, walking out the door. A small house that she. I just remember bathe in this sunlight. Embellishment of my. She beckoned me over my table for breakfast. Sat down in front of the fridge. Delicious. Sharing that moment with all these years, that's what stuck in my. How I remember my partial memory, trying to catch a lizard. Passed a while ago. Part of me wishes I probably couldn't ask for a better grandma. I can't remember anything negative.
Well, that must have been quite an adventure as a young boy flying to Puerto Rico, too.
Totally. Yeah, I remember having some trouble with pressure in my ear. My sister had it worse.
Uh-huh.
A lot of bad memory too. A lot of things that other things that I have being that young.
Come and join us. I can't quite read your name up there. We're having a little ceremony. Glad to have you. Come on in. We're giving brief little eulogies, remembrances of people that we've lost, and we've heard about a grandmother and a mom. I also want to ask you, Damon. You say you have not had a lot of losses. Another type, and I really, in any time I get together with people about bereavement, I try to say it doesn't matter if it's grandmother or mother or a pet hamster, anything that's you've made central to your life because you love it. If it dies, it's all equal. And I'll just ask you: have you had pets that you've lost, Damon?
I'd love to be able to.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Kind of a clean slate. Kind of pains me to say it in a place.
Yeah. Oh
Well,
no. I mean, you can lose like jobs and homes, but I understand. I felt the same way. I was like, wow, I made it to 20. That's pretty good. Nobody I know has really died a lot yet. And then then it hits you, and you're like, oh, this is a club I didn't want to be in. So like, don't feel bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have lost jobs.
Well, I'm glad you. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
I'll
see?
take a little time out, and for Mysella and is that Mason over there who's joined us in our little VR dying simulation here. We're starting out with the idea of other people dying, not ourselves, and we're just taking this opportunity to just give a brief tribute to someone that we've lost. So much is held inside us, and there are always, of course, formal ceremonies, but sometimes we can't really get out everything we need to then. And so, any opportunity to be able to really say goodbye with a story, with anything to just open up your heart and share with people who will listen respectfully, I think it's great. And I will then say, too, that yes, we're mostly talking today about the physical death of people or pets that we've loved, but it's a transition. That right? My metaphor for dying of any sort is a transition. So if you lose a job and go into a new job, that was a transition too. If you moved from one town to another, that was a transition. And the reason I bring that up is that if we start to look at death as a transition, we go, well, yeah, transitions are hard, yep, but I've done transitions before. I know I can do that. And so the very first time you have a job and then you don't have that job, you think, well, who am I now? I used to be the guy that had that job. What's my identity? Maybe I'll never get another job, but you know that you can go through that transition. So anyway, thanks for telling us about your grandma, and we'll continue on here with folks who have joined us. I love Winter. You've been hearing folks, and I don't know about the cat part. Maybe you have a pet eulogy. I don't know. Do you have a eulogy you'd like to share?
I feel a little comfortable going up in front of other people.
However you'd like to do it. If you don't want to say anything, that's fine. If you would like to just sit there and just let us know about someone that you've lost and tell us a little bit of something about them, tell us a story, that would be great. And if you want to go up in front too and really simulate like it's a real eulogy, that's great. Now,
you can
who'd
hold
like
the
to tell us
paper
about?
right in front of your face. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I like held the paper
There
up
you
to
go.
block
Like
my
you got
view.
a prop there. Yeah. Who would you like to tell us about?
There's a lot, but I guess I'll go with the most recent, which was my dad.
Oh. Yeah.
It was probably 5 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard. But
Yeah.
I mean, there are funny stories, like he was a practical joker. I know one time I came home and I was in my 20s, but he was arranging a dummy to look like a person to scare my mom when she came home from work, which I guess could have been kind of cruel, and I guess I should have said, hey, Dad, maybe that's not a good thing to do, but instead my response was, hey, you know what would look even better is to put a wig on it. And what would be even funnier is to put it in the washroom, so when she walks in after work, she finds it there. And so we did that. And then we sat and we did a puzzle while she went into the washroom, and then we heard her go, yeah, out loud. And yeah, we did scare her. But, yeah. So, I guess that's a funny story.
Yeah.
Well, it is, and you chuckled a little bit, and you got us chuckling too. And I wonder if do you think you can give us he was the type of person who...
He was the type of person who didn't say much, but he would be there if you needed him. He worked hard, and my mom said, always used to say he was one person you would never have to worry about him cheating on her, because it just wasn't something he would do.
Yeah. Well, that really helps.
Yeah.
Now keep going.
Oh, he was worked on the railroad for years and years, so I got to see across the country, because part of the perks of being an employee on the railroad was that you got to take your family on it, so we would ride
Wow.
for free and see lots of the country. It was pretty cool.
That sounds pretty special. Yeah. What did he do on the railroad?
He was a porter, so basically he would help people out, take their bags up, put them, get them into the rooms if they were in the rooms,
Yeah.
and check tickets, that type of thing. I think he was conductor
cool.
at some point too.
Nice.
I mean, there was a time in America when that was a really intimate role where, you know, they would form relationships with people traveling across the country, and the porter would be the one that would really be seeing to your stay and making it a
Yeah.
you know traveling home. Pretty
Yeah,
important.
he had. He used to get. Sometimes people would give him things like he had a cane from Africa.
Yeah,
Money from Japan. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
that's right. Because they remember that travel experience, and that he was the symbol of that, so they'd give him a gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you really you told us about him. Thank you. And I got the idea that you're holding on to even more lost than that too. I don't know if you want to do more now, or maybe find some other time to talk more about this. Are you having a hard time with some of the grief in you right now?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, well, it was a little harder than I thought to come in here. I wasn't sure what this was, so I just came in out of curiosity because I saw this and I was like, "What's this?" and
Yeah.
had to check it out.
Well, I'm glad you did. And I didn't know what to expect either. But thank you for going up front. I know that was not that easy for you. And but I think I said in other platforms and other places in VR, as soon as the pandemic started, I just kind of felt like, wow, some people are, death is a lot more high profile. People are going to have anxieties. Maybe they'll want a place to talk about it. So I've been leading sort of open talks about this for a while now, but I haven't led experiences where someone could be in a little setup like this and go up front and tell us a little thing about their father or their grandmother. And I wanted to find out if that would be a helpful thing for people, and if it is, I want to keep doing it. So thank you for helping me with this little experiment. And I wonder, we got another chapter to go too. We're not through yet, but I wonder, Marcella, if you have someone you'd like to give a little eulogy for. How about you? Thinking about it.
I think I'm okay for now.
Okay. Thank you for, again, the reason I think, I'm no, genius about this. I'm not a, licensed psychologist or anything, but I know that things that we sort of keep away from us, that we're not familiar with, that's what we're the most uncomfortable with. That's what, is the most unknown. So even just to come to an event called VR Dying Experiences, that's bringing a little bit of exposure therapy, they call it. A little bit of death, just putting your little toes in the water there. And that's, I think, just part of getting comfortable with it, part of getting used to the idea. So thanks a lot for being here. And I think we have time to go on to the second phase of this. And this is, you have to tell me what you think about this. And other people dying makes our own mortality very real. They say mortality salient. It's not just this abstract thing like we all know we're going to die, but when someone close to us, especially someone our own age, dies, it just makes it a lot more real that sometime that will happen for us too. And we can have our own beliefs, even if we believe completely materially that there's nothing else. It's still a transition from something to nothing, still a transition. But I think a lot of people from the talks that I've been having over the years just have just kind of a basic underlying belief that there's some kind of continuity. I don't know what it is, but some kind of continuity. And maybe by imagining what that continuity might be like. Hi, folks that just joined us. We've been actually starting with the idea of other people dying and giving brief eulogies, and I think I want to move on now for anyone who wants to take the next step of just kind of simulating the idea of ourselves dying. And of course, we're not really going to, it's VR. But an experience has been set up here, so you can just take that little plunge and get your first little exposure to the idea of your own not being here anymore. And I can pretty much guarantee you that there will be nothing frightening happening, but there'll be a good rebirthing kind of outcome. And the way that it begins is right here with this grave, and there was something I was going to do that we just weren't quite able to do. I wish we could have done it. I'm just going to keep getting better at this kind of an event. But it's one thing to walk up to the front and tell us a few stories about someone that you've lost. The fact that you actually just walked up and did that, I Love Winter, that was just great. That was a behavior that you did. I want to take one more step and have people actually imagine that their loved one is in that grave and to actually shovel some dirt into it. I think that physical act of our body putting dirt into the grave, and there are many cultural traditions in which that happens. I've done that at a number of funerals, and it puts a punctuation mark, it puts a closure on it by actually doing that. But we didn't do that for our eulogies because we don't quite have our interactables together here, but we can do a little bit of a simulation of rebirth for anyone who's up for it. I think we can. I'm kind of torn. I've done this by myself, and I've also done it together. I think starting by ourselves and then getting joined might be the way to do it. So that being said, just to assure you that nothing bad is going to happen, I'm going to go in here, and then I would just say one at a time, just wait 5-10 seconds, come on in. What will happen once you join the grave is turn around, look for the light. The rest will just unfold. Anyone who wants to join me?
Just keep popping in a couple of seconds.
Just breathe. Just take it nice and slow and breathe here for a minute. We can imagine that we're in some kind of a interim phase now. And what you're about to do, Mycella, if you go by the Grim Reaper there, just touch the Grim Reaper, and you'll move on to the next phase. Maybe you gotta... There you go. Okay. So we're in an intermediate phase here. I hope it wasn't too frightening for people. And the way that we move on is to let the Grim Reaper take us, just like Chai did. Tillman, if you'd like to step into the Grim Reaper here like this. Of life and rebirth. Now let's just follow. I'm going to wait forever. Yeah, you found it by yourself. Now follow the path around this way, and you'll see the secret of rebirth in this tree here. Just go on in and touch the heart.
This is awesome.
Go on in toward the tree there where you see the beating heart of rebirth. Tillman, step right in. And I Love Winter. Yeah. The tree of rebirth here, stepping into the heart. With everybody, and Damon, yeah, right on in. Go ahead.
That was really neat. That was cool.
And so just like take a little breath here for a second. Just feel what that was like before we complete it, and then when you're ready to be reborn, step right out and just point your controller down at the ground, and you will gradually go right back to where we started. Yeah.
Let's go.
man, I should have taken a picture. Look at all the people falling.
I wanted to see what this Grim Reaper looked like because I bumped into him the first time and didn't get the chance to like.
Yeah, actually, where are you at? Actually,
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah,
the
there you
Grim Reaper before.
Oh really?
They imported them in from this other world that's really cool. That's like,
Oh really?
yeah. Here, let me look
Do you
up
know
the name
of it?
Yeah, no, I got it saved. Give me a second.
Yeah. So I think someone went for seconds.
You just said I think someone went for second.
Someone went for
So
yeah,
I think we'll just wrap up here. I'll just ask anybody
yeah,
who
my
feels
menu
like
doesn't work right now. If it works, I'll
sharing
say it.
anything
That's
that
fine.
came up for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Was it a
I'll
little bit
send you that's cool, and I'll
scary,
get
Chloe,
it.
going into the grave in the
Yeah.
first place?
It was interesting. It felt kind of real, but I know it's like virtual reality, but
No
It was
hesitation. It was
interesting.
easy to do. Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Damon? What did it feel like actually going into that grave?
That was my second time going in. I had a little creep. But the first time,
Full disclosure.
as soon as I jumped into that, I felt claustrophobia hit me. Claustrophobic person, but being surrounded by that darkness and knowing that I was in a coffin was
Yeah.
panic-inducing to me.
I felt that way
Yeah.
the first time too, just a little bit. It's like whoops.
Okay, let's just go.
Well, now you have to be reborn
Three
again.
times.
So
Yeah,
let's
that
go.
was a mistake,
Yeah, there we go.
folks.
let's just follow him.
We're just going. We're all coming with you. Speed run,
Your
Jeff.
friends jumped into the grave. Would you too?
Yeah, right.
The death was so good, I did it 3 times.
Not yet?
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, there's the roses. Cool.
I was not paying enough attention to where I was standing. I better be more careful over here. Yeah. So
That's how they get you.
yeah, exactly, when you weren't paying attention. So anyone else have any just reaction to that, to going into the grave part? Anyone else feel funny about that?
I liked it.
It was cool. I really liked. It was kind of like an optical illusion a little bit. At first, I was like, "Oh, is it gonna keep staying in the distance, that little square?" And then I realized I kind of like walked past it, and it was just really neat. Yeah, it was cool.
So I wonder, it just brings up another little thing. I wonder if anyone has anything to say about this one, which is obviously it's a popular culture phenomenon, the idea of a near-death experience. Clinically declared dead, but then who knows, hours later, it's a sign of breath and resuscitated. And people tell a remarkably similar story who have had these near-death experiences, and always they're drawn toward the light. So that was part of this. I wonder, does anyone here, do you have anyone here have strong feelings about near-death experiences and what they mean? Do you think that the fact that people see that light and over again feel a warming, friendly, loving presence that they feel drawn to, but as they get closer, that presence almost invariably says your work isn't done, there's more that you need to go, and snap, they're back into their bodies again. Now that's the normal way the model is told. There's variations, but that's pretty much it. I just wondered, do people have feelings about what that might mean? Does it
Maybe like a
prove there's
wake-up
something else
call.
out there? I don't know. Does it kind of prove that there's
Yeah.
something more than just what we
It's-
know?
Yeah, it's
Like,
so I'm
you only
just
get
one
one
that
life.
has. Yeah, right. It's like I feel like I don't know. There's like a scientific like version of it that it's like you see a white light because of the way that like you're losing oxygen to your brain, but then it's like you also have this like adrenaline or like actual feeling that like something's not completed. I've heard that as well. So it's like the fact that
Yeah.
people are having these feelings aside from seeing the white light. It's like it's an interesting conversation because I'm very scientific based, but like the fact that these conversations keep repeating means something. There's something we haven't really figured out yet. So it's really interesting because I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, right? I would love to see my family again, and I'm hoping, but I'm looking for the facts and the information. So stuff like this is awesome because it gets people talking about it, you know?
Well, one of my hopes for the future is to be able to actually simulate even more accurately a near-death experience. To that feeling of rising above and looking down at your body, we ought to be able to do that in VR. I'd like to have my camera looking down at my body and feel that dissociation from my body,
Yeah.
because we're so tied to this physical body. It's almost impossible for us to think of a continuation of ourselves without that body. But maybe if I could have that detached view in VR, it would start to help me think that way. I don't know. But
Yeah.
so there's plenty of other experiences I got in mind, and the one that I will leave today, and I got to figure out how to do this, and it's just to put even yet a different spin on death and dying from another culture, and it's from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. There might be people here who know a little bit about Tibetan Buddhism, and what happens, according to the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, is the moment of death is a bardo state. It lasts very briefly. In that moment, we can be liberated from our individual existence, if we want to look at it that way. But most of us then go into the bardo of experiencing reality. That's what they call it. That in between liminal state, between death and birth, is what Tibetan Buddhists call reality. The bardo of experiencing reality. And the Book of the Dead is a description of each of the 49 days. They really have it down. That's it. It takes 49 days to get through of what happens. And it was originally written to have a monk actually whisper in the ear of the dead person, well, today is day 17, and you're seeing a host of scary goblins coming at you from the left, brandishing whips and spears and chains. As it turns out, all the things that are being experienced in those days are our own projections, our own fears being externalized, our own parts of ourselves that we can't recognize. Hi there, little Romney. We're just finishing up. I'll try to tie you in here in a second. But the way the story goes in the Tibetan Book of the Dead is that those frightening parts from our psyche, from our inside, we project them out into the world, and we get increasingly frightened of them. And the idea of meditation, the idea of finding a safe space, is to just be able to look at those apparitions, understand them for what they are, and move forward. But in most cases, we get pretty frightened by those things. And finally, on the 49th day, our fear of ourselves has become so intense that we just go looking for any hiding place we can to get away from those things and hide. And we just jump into some hiding place. And that hiding place is the womb where we are reborn. So in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, we choose our rebirth. If we are filled with fear at what is inside us, we aren't going to make a great choice. We're just going to just take anything that we can, and we might get reborn in a world of snakes and scary things. If we accept all the parts of us and breathe and look and find a place where we feel there's humanity and love and pick that spot to be reborn, that's what we do. Now, I just tell that story not because I necessarily think it's true or not, but because it just gives a whole other way of looking at this concept of rebirth. That It's our choice, and the clearer a mind we can keep in the liminal in-between state, when we were there in the little waiting room there with the Grim Reaper, when we were walking along the trail, we didn't have any scary things there, but the more we keep our presence, the more we choose a rebirth where we can continue to grow and our humanity can flourish. So, little Ronnie, you sort of came at the end of our dying in VR experience that started with being able to use this space for what it really is, a place to do a funeral ceremony. It looks like maybe Ronnie might be going, I can't quite tell, but we gave some, it looked like Ronnie was just here for briefly, but for those of you who were here, Tillman, you kind of came in at the end, you got some of the experience. We'll see. I want to keep doing this kind of thing, and certainly trying to use VR all we can so that both in our life we can breathe through those scary parts, and then also after our death we can breathe through them and make good choices then. So if someone has any final words you'd like to share, I'm ready to call an end to this event right now, but I would like people to be able to check out if you'd like and say how you're doing now. Yeah, Chai, what's your checkout?
Yeah, I was just curious if you had a eulogy, if there was somebody that you wanted to pay tribute to or talk about.
I hadn't necessarily thought of doing that, but I will share with you all that what's heavy on my heart right now, and it's why I brought up pets, is that my dog is probably on his last days, and it's a dog who, when I had cancer and did chemo, I found it very difficult to be around other people, but I could be around Puma, my dog. Puma knew just when I wanted someone to snuggle up to me, when I wanted to be left alone, when it was okay for me to get up and take him for a walk because I needed to do something too. It was Puma that got me through chemo, and I'm spending my evenings now with Puma and just showing all of my love and making sure that when she goes, I'll look back and I'll know that I did everything I could have here now to show my love for my dog, because that's really it. We will be living for the rest of our lives when people that we love go, and we'll look back and say, did I really say how much I loved them? If we didn't, we can do it ritualistically, but it also reminds us, for our friends who are still here now, we never know. No day is given to us. And when we say goodbye, we should mean it. And when we say I love you, we should think maybe that is the last time we'll say that. So anyway, I'm trying to say my goodbyes to my pet right now. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Anyone else have just a little checkout you'd like to share? You came to an event called Dying, and now we're coming to the end of it. How you doing? Anybody just feel like? Yeah, go ahead, Chloe. Okay, good enough. That's fine. I'm not looking, by the way, for any thank yous or congratulations. I'm looking to how we can extend this type of experience in VR and just make it a valuable thing for more people. So I'll. If you don't have something to say now, it's okay. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be around, and I just want to keep growing.
Was this the first event?
Yes,
for
this is the first
like...
time that I have done what I would call sort of a designed experience. Like I say, I've been holding open talks on the topic of death for quite some time now. But to actually try to have an experience that people would share, like you all graciously did, coming up front here and giving the eulogy and then going through the rebirth process. I'm also doing this in parallel in alt space also. So I'm just going to, and if I can do it in Engage, and if I can do it in other platforms, I'll do it there too. So they all have different affordances and different ways of creating experiences there. But for me, this is kind of the central topic of my life, is really trying to bring not just an acceptance of mortality, but an appreciation for the fact that it gives us a mandate to act and to love. because our time is precious, and all I want to do in that time is act in loving ways to people I care about. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's what I want to do going forward. I thank you all for being with me here today. Look out for announcements of further events here along this line. I do lead a meditation. Damon has been coming to it. I think I Love Winter has been there. Have I seen you before? I Love Winter? I think so. On Thursdays, also here in Horizon. And probably I'll stick to this theme for a little bit longer too. So, but I'll also do something different so it doesn't get boring. So, anyway, I will be around. Thank you so much. I'm going to say the event is now formally over, but people are certainly free to die and be reborn as much as you want. This is an open world, you know. If you do bring other friends here, I would, do it in a serious vein. It's fun. I don't think we have to be solemn. I'm not trying to be a solemn dude the whole time, but I want to be respectful about it, and so I'd like to treat this world with respect, and I'm sure everybody else would feel that way. So that's what I got for now. Thanks again, everybody. I think
Yeah,
we're just
that was
about
awesome.
how'd my time go? 6:03, not bad. I like to keep things
Yeah.
on an hour.
You
Yeah.
did great.
Well,
This is awesome. Thanks again.
enjoy the
I'll
rest
have to check in
of
the next
your
one.
day, and to be continued. This is just the beginning of what we're going to be doing in VR. This is what it's all about. Just real
Sounds
stuff
great.
like this. So, thanks again, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
By the way, the world is red balloon, I think.
Red balloon.
That's
Gotcha.
what-
Okay.
Yeah, red balloon.
Yeah. Definitely. Got it. Yep, I found it. Thanks.
Well, that was dying. Our dying experience. Should have named this properly, but that's what it was called. I named the Death and Dying. That you guys, if you're watching, if you watch the VOD or whatever, then this like to what the healing process is like. Possibly a more transition. Death is not the end, it's the beginning of something. That's the point that this world is trying to convey. Events like this. I know what rise or what they pop up, I will start share them with live stream video that follows. I enjoy builds prior to this. Actually, with RC Degs, yeah, one of my biggest meditations. RC Degs and I preparation. Series of events. That in my so with that in mind, hi Sheilor. Laura will. Thank you for watching once again. Right. There are no more events tonight in VR. Events that I'd be interested in. Actually walk through the botanical, wise botanical. There are no meditations. Has to be I don't know. That's the dude. I don't know if this was on stream, but full flutter of being in a cult. Never got to join his guild, but I've heard that it's. That's all I have to say. You're welcome to experience his and make your own conclusions. Learn about what others have been, but now this. I will see you guys a bit later on tonight. Next meditation event. Tomorrow. Got distracted. There is one, but I can't. I would like to. Wednesday will be the next likely VR events. I join only the Tom's meditation will happen on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. You all are welcome to join that, and Flutters will happen actually after his event. Expect me to stream both of those. I don't get caught up to RC decks again. Not that that's not a welcome distraction because wealth of knowledge and she's very talented in, but to be able to catch. Thank you for watching. See you guys on Thursday.